Hey bookworms, I'm BookMouse, and this is another installment of our BookNook quarantine style. With everything that's going on, we are in self-isolation, and of course I cannot be with Book Kitty at the same time, so we're having to modify how we do things. This installment is going to be me doing a little book unhaul. Been stuck at the house for a while and did a little cleaning and neatening up of my bookshelf and found some things that I want to unhaul. So we're going to go over those real quick, and hopefully as soon as quarantine is over, we can find a place that's willing to take book donations. Anyway, stick around and see what we are unhauling this time. So, as I've mentioned before, I actually have a very small space to store books. I have one bookshelf, and it also has to hold all my DVDs and some picture frames and some other stuff. So I'm very limited on space. So sometimes I have to unhaul a book, not because I want to, but because I have to be responsible with the space that I have. So, as we have mentioned before, I am a huge Jane Castle fan. She writes several books about Harmony, a planet where people have immigrated. They're the ghost hunter novels. And of course, I like them. But I have two that I have to give up. So I have After Dark, which is actually, I think one of the ones that, no, we did Illusion Town. So After Dark is one of the earliest ghost hunter novels. It's actually really good. I liked it. But as I said, this is a space issue, not a content issue. And then, of course, Illusion Town, we're going to be getting rid of this one too, just for space constraints. So, unfortunately, Jane's got to go, but they are always favorites, and I tend to pick them up and read them when I get the chance, especially when a new one comes out. Another one that I'm going to be getting rid of, and this one I, oddly enough, did not like. I have Christine Feehan's Leopard's Wrath. So she writes several book series. She writes her Carpathian novels, which is a vampire novel series, and then she writes a leopard series about shapeshifters. It was all right, but it's kind of over the top for me. I'm kind of picky about my shapeshifters, and to be honest, I think I've mentioned before in other videos, I have a problem with the He-Man, I'm right, my woman will do what I say, I'm the protective, you know, my way or the highway kind of shit. And these tend to like go over the top with the Russian mafia and stuff like that. And I just didn't like it. I wanted to slap the main character several times. But this was one of those, you know, where you pick it up off the bookshelf while you're in line at the grocery store because you have nothing else to read. And I read it. I did read it, but I am so passing it on. I have, like I mentioned, a Carpathian novel. This one is Dark Sentinel. I actually kind of like the Carpathian novels. It's a different take on vampires. They're not really vampires, but they are vampires. But there are vampires, but they're actually evil Carpathians. But this one actually is not a bad book. I like the Carpathian novels, but evidently I've missed some in between, so I was a little lost to some references that she makes in the books. I know that there's kind of an order to reading the Carpathian books, so I think I missed out on something. But it was cute, and I meant cute, like, you know, dragons and kids and stuff. But it's a good book. I like the Carpathian series, but again, space constraints, I cannot keep it. I have two that I picked up off the shelf, just like quickie reads from the dollar store. You know, dollar store. So one of them is Cynthia Eden's Eternal Flame. This is a paranormal romance. Well, it says it's a romance, but it's a paranormal romance because it's about humans and the others. Government intrigue. It was all right. Kind of cheesy, but shifters, vamps, demons, witches, and a few paranormally skilled humans thrown in the mix. That's off the back. It was all right. it's not like I'm going to go get the whole series, and it's not like I'm going to like search out this book again. It again was $1 rack while I was in line to check out. So I'm easily letting that one go. And then this one was Night of the Vampires by Heather Graham. This one was weird. I mean, it was a vampire novel, so yeah, I picked it up. So I'm thinking this is kind of set during the Civil War. It's weird about vampires trying to overrun the government or overrun the US as it's going through the Civil War. And it's this whole weird thing about vampire riots and government conspiracies and half vampires and a dad who seems to be having kids across the centuries. It was weird, and I actually did not finish this. I just couldn't keep up with it, and it just really wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So I had a hard time keeping up with this. I'm sure it was a great take, you know, vampires during the Civil War and intrigue and all that and riots and stuff like that, but I couldn't finish it. I did not enjoy it the way I thought I would. So it's got to go. The next two books are, again, one of my favorite authors, and this is strictly a space constraint thing. I have talked about how much I love Mercedes Lackey, especially her Valdemar series, but she actually has 2 other series that she writes. She writes Tales of the 500 Kingdoms, and this is one of those books, and it's called Beauty and the Werewolf. It's kind of a weird take on fairy tales that we know. You know, what happens if the big bad wolf is actually a werewolf? Kind of. It was a really interesting take on the fairy godmother, the granny, and everything. And I've actually read this book several times, but now I kind of have it memorized. And so I feel safe in letting it go so that somebody else can enjoy it. But a really good series, Tales of the 500 Kingdoms. And then her Elemental Master series. She writes a series about magic users, and they have different, you know, earth, air, water, and fire. And they're, you know, the 4 elements. And it's really cute, great story. I really enjoyed it. It's a big twist on how magic works and the sprites and fire sprites and salamanders and everything that work with people. I liked the story. These are not super powerful wizards, and these are not, you know, overpowered, you know, magic users. These are people that work within the constraints of nature, and they're everyday people. One is a disabled veteran from the British India Wars. She is a runaway bride from a traveling circus, kind of like the gypsies. And it's just a really cute story, and I really liked it. And it was kind of an empowering story, so I think you'd like it. Again, I've always been a big Mercedes Lackey fan. My second to last book that I'm getting rid of, and of course, again, space constraints only because I love my Anne McCaffrey. But I have All the Wares of Pern. It is actually one of the later books that she wrote before she passed away. It's a really good book. All the Pern books I'm going to rave about. I've always felt that the Pern books were amazing. This particular one is the whole planet discovering its origins. They were always a colony, but they didn't really know it from Earth. And this is them learning their roots and going forward from that. What's the effect of when you have an insular world all of a sudden slammed with, you know, the fact of where they came from and technology that they didn't know existed. And it was really well done. I like this one. It's hardback, so somebody's going to be getting a treat when I donate this. But Anne McCaffrey's Pern series, I really do like it. And again, this is strictly, you know, I've got maybe 2.5 shelves that I can store books on, and I really have to be careful with what I choose to keep. The last book that I am going to be getting rid of is actually book 2 in a series, and the book 1 was in my first unhaul. The Deep End, part of the Honey series. Well, this one is The Farthest Edge. It is a book by Kristen Ashley, and I actually have somebody that's already put dibs on this because she claimed book 1 from me. This is definitely an adult book. It pushes boundaries that a lot of people aren't comfortable with, and so it's probably not the material for everybody. Yeah, it's over the top. Let's just say that. I mean, the back of the book says, "Step into the honey club, where every sensual boundary will be tested in search of the ultimate pleasure." So, it's a really good book. It really is. But she's already claimed it because she claimed book 1 in the series when I did my last unhaul. And since we've been confined to the house, I've had time to clean, and I'm finding books in places where they don't belong. So I found this one, and I will be unhauling that one too and letting Book Kitty claim it for her collection. So that's really all I kind of have for today. Just a short little quick unhaul. Things have been really hard with us having to self-isolate and do the social distancing thing, and we're used to having all the equipment at Book Kitty's space. So, you know, the ring light, the tripod. I'm trying to make do with finding something to use as a tripod. So it's been a challenge, and like Book Kitty and I both said in our last joint video, our podcast, we're trying our best to keep going, and we're having to change things up a little bit, and we're having to make adjustments to the way we do things, and I think that's kind of across the board right now. So as always, check out our other videos, hit the subscribe button, and ring the little bell so you always know when we post new content. And check out our other videos for books that we've reviewed, other unhauls we've done, book tags. We recently just posted a new video of a quarantine book tag, so check it out. This has been BookMouse, and I am now signing off.